Hello and welcome to Quest Recapped. Today, we will be going through the 2010 animated superhero comedy film, Megamind. The movie begins in an alien world that is on the verge of being annihilated by a black hole. Meanwhile, a couple places their newborn kid named Megamind in a spaceship to save him. They also place a fish named Minion to take care of the baby. After that, Megamind and Minion are dispatched to Earth. And while floating through space, Megamind observes another spaceship with a baby aboard named Metro Man. Moments later, both spaceships crash land on Earth, with Metro Man landing on a wealthy and privileged house, and Megamind landing in a prison. The convicts are taken aback when they see the baby in prison and consider bringing him up. They nurture him without instilling a good sense of morality in him and teach the kid how to rob and commit crimes. Even as a child, Megamind possesses exceptional intelligence, allowing him to create highly complex devices with destructive powers. Nonetheless, his great abilities generate various problems, leading to being imprisoned in a correctional facility. Elsewhere, Metro Man grows up in an affluent family and gradually develops incredible capacity and superhuman power. Megamind and Metro Man meet when they reach adolescence and attend the same local school. Now, Metro Man is loved by everyone for his flying abilities, and Megamind tries to impress the other students by demonstrating his skills, but he accidentally sets the class on fire. However, Metro Man comes to the rescue and saves the day by putting up the fire. But unfortunately, Megamind is being returned to prison as a result of his misconduct. The scene then shifts to many years later, when Metro Man has achieved recognition as a superhero and the town is called Metro City in his honor. Meanwhile, Megamind is regarded as a villain since he and Minion constantly engage in pointless conflicts with Metro Man for control of the town. Therefore, he is placed in a special cell and is routinely visited by the prison warden to ensure that he has not escaped. One day, Megamind tries to persuade the warden that he has changed and is ready to return to the city. However, the warden ignores him and informs him that a gift from Metro Man has arrived, a watch with a note, making fun of Megamind and his 85 life sentences. To upset Megamind, the warden decides to keep the watch for himself, but it reveals to be a trap. The watch turns out to be one of Megamind's inventions, which quickly changes the director into Megamind. Now, Megamind disguises himself as the warden and escapes the prison with Minion. The day happens to be the grand opening of the brand new Metro Man Museum. We then see a reporter named Roxanne Ritchie and her cameraman Hal Stewart, who has a huge crush on her. Megamind soon comes to the event in an invisible car and abducts Roxanne. Afterward, he tries to scare her, but she doesn't care because she's been kidnapped countless times before and claims that everything he does is predictable. He then broadcasts her live on television, using her as bait to entice Metro Man to arrive at the city observatory. Not long after, Metro Man arrives at the location to save Roxanne, but she is not there. Just then, Megamind appears and tells Minion to unleash the death ray to annihilate his rival, but not before broadcasting a video to boast about his win. Soon, the missile is activated, and the area where Metro Man is gets blown up. A skeleton approaches Megamind, and he is pleased that he has put an end to Metro Man. He asks Minion to play the songs, and they proceed to the city while dancing and singing. Then, he heads to the museum, where people are expecting Metro Man. But Megamind informs them that Metro Man is no longer with them and that he is now in charge of the town. Next, Megamind and Minion squander a lot of money and make a mess, but because no one dares to oppose him, things begin to lose their fun. As a result, Megamind begins to experience existential crises, wondering what he will do from now on. Since his biggest enemy is no longer alive, the prospect of capturing Roxanne no longer delights him. He then goes to the museum and proceeds to apologize to Metro Man's statue, claiming that he has always wanted to eliminate him but never believed he could. Meanwhile, Roxanne also makes her way to the museum to see the Metro Man statue. Later, she is approached by the museum's caretaker Bernard, who informs her that it is time to close the museum, but she doesn't move. Moments after, Megamind notices Roxanne and doesn't want her to see him. Therefore, he scans Bernard and fires his dehydration gun at him, shrinking him to the size of a little cube. He then uses his watches to disguise himself as Bernard and runs away. Roxanne follows Megamind, thinking of him for Bernard, and strikes up a conversation with him. Megamind is disappointed that Metro Man is gone, but Roxanne assures him that good will always triumph over evil and that heroes can be created. This inspires Megamind to create a new superhero to battle himself. He gets a DNA sample from Metro Man's cap and uses it to create a serum capable of empowering anyone. The next day, when conducting an investigation, Roxanne stumbles onto Megamind's secret hideout and brings along her cameraman Hal to document it. She also calls Bernard, but Megamind answers the phone and learns about her discovery via the surveillance camera. To avoid detection, he gives his syringe gun to Minion and disguises himself as Bernard to try to persuade her to leave. Roxanne, on the other hand, decides to continue her investigation and discovers all of Megamind's projects. Soon after, she discovers a syringe gun with a chemical that transforms humans into superheroes. Megamind tries to take it from her, but accidentally shoots the gun, which ends up injecting Hal. Now, Roxanne decides to flee, but she ends up in a crocodile trap and is rescued by Megamind, who is disguised as Bernard. When she comes out, she compliments him on his bravery and hugs him. Megamind is pleased because no one had hugged him till today, but Hal gets jealous seeing this. Sometime later, Megamind and Minion head to Hal's house. They then completely alter Hal's appearance, and Megamind disguises himself as an old man and tells Hal that he is Hal's space father, while Minion pretends to be his space mother. They inform Hal that they have come to transform him into a superhero capable of fighting Megamind. Following that, the two then begin training Hal and teach him to utilize his powers. As the days pass by, Megamind is overjoyed to have another chapter in his life. He is also pleased that Roxanne is now his friend, but she still thinks of him as Bernard. He spends quality time with her, and they begin to develop feelings for one another. Hal eventually completes his training and takes on the name Titan as his new superhero identity. There is now just one day till the major confrontation between Megamind and Titan. Meanwhile, Megamind begins to reconsider his decision to be a villain, preferring to pursue a relationship with Roxanne. Seeing this, Minion becomes enraged and rants at Megamind, accusing him of not doing enough. Megamind, on the other hand, does not listen to him and declares that he no longer requires him. Disappointed by this comment, Minion then leaves from there. Elsewhere, Roxanne is trying to read the papers she discovered in Megamind's lair when she comes across the term Titan. While she wonders what this could signify, Hal arrives behind her in costume and introduces himself as the Titan. He then uses his abilities to impress her and offers her a ride through the skies, but Roxanne is terrified rather than excited. When Roxanne requests that he take her back to the ground, he instead takes her to the rooftop of the highest building and reveals his true identity by removing his mask. He then proposes to her, but Roxanne declines, stating that she likes someone else. Meanwhile, Megamind, disguised as Bernard, is waiting for Roxanne in a restaurant. Soon after, Roxanne arrives there, followed by Titan, who becomes jealous when he sees her with someone else. Roxanne and Megamind then spend a great evening together and soon kiss each other. However, moments after, Roxanne messes up Megamind's watch, revealing his true identity. Realizing he is Megamind, she pushes him away while he tries to explain himself, but she is enraged and exits the restaurant alone. Heartbroken, Megamind pursues her with his invisible car and apologizes once again, but Roxanne insists there is no way they will ever be together. After this, Megamind returns to his base, upset, and tries to apologize to Minion, but turns out he has also left. The next morning, Megamind is adamant about carrying out his plan to confront Titan, so he builds a formidable fighting machine robot and unleashes it on the town in the hopes of luring Titan out. However, Titan does not appear, leaving Megamind frustrated and bored. He then goes to Hal's house and questions him about his absence. Hal claims that he just decided to become a hero to win Roxanne, but since she doesn't care about him, he doesn't want to be a superhero. Megamind then reveals to Titan that he is both his space father and Bernard, which causes Titan to become enraged and begin fighting Megamind. However, Titan easily overcomes Megamind and tries to kill him, but he escapes with the help of his robots. Megamind hits him with a copper sphere, just like he did to Metro Man, but Titan easily escapes the sphere and it has no impact on him. Metro City residents are relieved to be free of Megamind's domination, but Titan informs them that they are now under the power of a new villain. Later, Megamind visits Roxanne's house and informs her that the Titan has become evil while pleading for help in saving the city. Following that, the two decide to head to Metro Man's hideout in the hopes of discovering the Titan's weakness. On the way, Roxanne suggests to Megamind that he just take back Titan's powers, but he reveals that the weapon to do so is in the invisible car, which he lost after she abandoned him at the restaurant. Soon after, they arrive at the location and are surprised to see Metro Man there. He has grown a beard and has a collection of musical instruments. Metro Man then admits that he faked his death and copper intolerance to retire as a superhero. He claims he did it after realizing he'd spend his entire life doing what people expected of him, never deciding what he wanted, which was to be a musician. Megamind and Roxanne try to persuade Metro Man to beat Titan, but he refuses. Instead, Metro Man asks Megamind to a battle, which he also declines, arguing that he isn't a hero, doesn't save anyone, and doesn't get the girl. Afterward, Megamind finally surrenders to the prison that has been his home since childhood. Now, as the threat of Titan looms over Metro City, the inhabitants begin to flee. Titan wreaks havoc and destroys the city with his terrifying laser eye. Despite the turmoil, Roxanne approaches him, seeking to stop him from continuing his assault. However, he refuses to listen and instead kidnaps Roxanne and takes her to the top of Metro Tower, where he binds her. He then broadcasts a live TV message using Roxanne as a hostage, demanding that Megamind face him in the fight for her freedom. Meanwhile, Megamind watches this from prison and he apologizes and asks the warden to let him go, claiming that the city does not deserve to suffer for his error. At that point, the minion who was impersonating the director returns to his actual self and accepts his apology, and frees him. In the next scene, Megamind arrives in the city and successfully saves Roxanne by diverting Titan's attention with his robots and using a fly motorbike. Titan, unfortunately, has destroyed all of the drones and hurls one half of the structure at them. Nonetheless, Megamind and Roxanne successfully avoid the crash and runs away. Just then, Metro Man returns and apologizes for forsaking the city. And Roxanne uses the opportunity to check on Megamind, but she soon finds that he is Minion in disguise and Metro Man is Megamind. Meanwhile, Metro Man chases the Titan and convinces him to vow to leave the city and never return. Roxanne then takes his hand and turns off the clock, revealing to everyone that Metro Man is indeed Megamind. However, moments later, Titan reappears and launches a surprise attack. Despite the odds, Megamind gets a syringe gun from his invisible car. Titan eventually overtakes him and throws him into the air as he crashes toward the ground. Now, Titan prepares to deploy his killer laser eye on Roxanne, but Megamind dehydrates himself into a cube and lands in a nearby fountain. He then takes the diffuser and shoves it right up Hal's nose, erasing all his powers and finally defeating him. In the final scene, Hal is captured and put into the prison. Megamind and Roxanne rekindle their relationship, and the city welcomes Megamind as its new hero. And as the film concludes, the museum is reconstructed in Megamind's honor, while Metro Man stands in the crowd and congratulates him. We have come to the end of this video. Thank you for watching. Kindly like, subscribe, and share this video. If you also have thoughts you intend to share, kindly leave them in the comment section. See you in the next video.